Well, just like that, we're halfway through the week. It's Hump Day, one of my all-time favorite days of the week, as you know. And today, we have a special guest. You don't want to miss this. Bushido Blues and I are heading to the video store. We'll be right back.
Previously on the Nerdy Ronin Network.
And Google's not my friend. I am a horrible Googler. I am not the Google champ when I'm looking for a pertaining piece of information. So if you can Google, if you're good at Googling, like Nerdy Wife is a Googler. Like if you ask her a question, she can find the answer. But I just want to throw my phone out in the yard when I try to Google something, because it's the same with the smart speaker. When I talk to it's completely stupid. It's dumb. But she can just say one thing and it's like, yes, madam. Anyway. Happy Hump Day. That's right. The day is here. The work week is half over. We're well on our way to the weekend. I hope you're all doing great and are having a great week. I hope everything is going exactly like you like it. Hey, in the description down below are some things, some of my links. Go look at them, please, if you want to. Our merch page is down there over at flagranttriggers.com. My website is down there. It's all down there. Just go check it out and like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so very, very much. Squeaky Chair and I always appreciate you guys. So, here's the deal. I've told you before, I listened to a podcast with Quentin Tarantino and Roger Avary. All right? It's Video Archives podcast. It's weekly, and generally they pick 3 movies, older movies, on VHS and watch them on VHS, and they talk about them. And so I've watched several movies that they've talked about. And I won't say they're all great for me, but I had an idea. Yep. Sometimes the genius just happens that way. Sometimes the fat moves out of the way and the brain works. It's weird, I know. But I talked to Bushido Blues and I was like, man, how about you watch this movie and we'll talk about it? And it'll be like we went to the video store and hung out with Quentin Tarantino and his friends. And he was like, okay, sure, I'm down. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to introduce you to the movie. I'm going to tell you my opinion of the movie. And then Bushido will be here to tell you his thoughts on the movie. So this is going to be a tad bit longer than usual, probably. But don't go anywhere, because Bushido's here today. That's right. So let's get into this, because, it's going to be a long one. The One-Armed Executioner, 1981, rated R, hour and 35 minutes. For everything I understand, this is a Malaysian film that plays much like a 1970s gem. Okay? It's like a revenge thriller type deal, action, kung fu-ish. The story is about an Interpol agent out for revenge against the gangsters that cut off his arm and killed his bride. Now, I personally would say that killing the bride in front of him was a little more mentally damaging and taxing than cutting off his arm, because he is still alive, but it leaves him deeply depressed, and he starts drinking, and he's just lost his way. So his sensei, if you will, has to pull him out of this funk and train him to fight one-armed kung fu style, right? And then at the end, there's a big to-do between this guy and all the gangsters, right? It sounds great, right? It sounds fun. And as I said, this is a review based on a movie that Quentin Tarantino and Roger Avary were talking about on their podcast. So watching this, is it top notch? No. And most of the movies they talk about would be considered not necessarily top tier, but mid to low in some cases. And this is just a fantastic movie made at the beginning of the 80s that is extremely a 1970s movie. From the music to the action. And not to mention the main star has to act and learn to fight, if you will, with one arm literally tied behind his back. So it's goofy. It's a fun watch though. The story is simple enough. It goes, but let me tell you, the opening scene, oh, the opening scene is insane. Because there's a guy in a payphone booth on the docks talking on the phone, and the bad guys lock the door, block it, and then push the payphone in the ocean. It was the craziest thing I've seen, the craziest opening I've seen for a movie. Now, this is extremely badly dubbed, and the director is Bobby Suarez. I meant to say that a while ago when I had it on the screen, but this is not going to, like, if you're looking for a top tier, grade A blockbuster action movie, then just don't bother. But if you're looking for fun, entertaining, with a kung fu slant, that's so badly dubbed, but oh so good. It's not the greatest, but it is fun. That's my opinion. It's on Tubi. You can watch it free on Tubi right now. Well, after Bushido gives his 2 cents. In fact, let's hear what he thinks right now.
So the head cop warns the hero, who's in the hospital after losing an arm, and he warns him that if he's thinking about revenge, then hands off. And not a single person in the film bats an eye. That's pretty much a one-armed executioner.
In case you have some ideas of any personal revenge, get this straight. Hands off.
It's stupid fun. That's probably the best way to describe it. So, I'm not really going to dissect everything about this film because you pretty much know what it is. It's a corny action revenge film from the 80s, though it feels more like the 70s. And I absolutely love the score by Gene Cower. It's definitely got that 70s kung fu flavor to it. But besides all of the corniness, there is still something that you can get out of watching a movie like this now. And movies like this were just filmed so differently from what we get today. And I'm sort of just fascinated with how different films are now. So the film stars Franco Guerrera, who's a big action star in the Philippines. He plays the character of Ortega, who's an Interpol agent living in the Philippines. At the start of the film, this character's got a great life. He's got a beautiful wife. He's got a great job. Until one day, it pretty much all comes crashing down. One day, a gang of super evil bad guys decide to kill his wife, destroy his life, and to add insult to injury, they cut off one of his arms. So naturally, the protagonist, Ortega, spirals, and he becomes depressed and gives in to alcoholism. I mean, I'd probably do the same thing. Losing one of your arms and having your wife get stabbed with a katana, that's horrible. And I will say, at this moment in the film, maybe for a second, I actually did feel something for the main character. It's not much, but it's still something. It's probably more than I ever felt from a Hollywood film in the past 10 years. So that's definitely a plus of this film. And we, of course, get a training segment. You know, that's kind of a must-have with any martial arts film. And this is where his master trains him to fight in the art of one arm. And, you know, the training parts in Kung Fu films have always been my favorite. And of course, in the Rocky movies. And I will say, it's actually done pretty well here. I like how he's just forced to overcome his disability, you know, instead of giving up. It reminded me a little bit of the Crippled Avengers. That's a great Kung Fu film. That's where every member has a different disability, like blindness or deafness. And by themselves, they're pretty weak. But when they all come together, they just fill in all their weaknesses and they're invincible. In this film, though, the main protagonist pretty much just has to learn how to, you know, kick ass with just using one arm. And it does some clever things, like how it shows us how he would load a gun using just one arm. You know, stuff that you don't always think about.
Ramon, here!
And then in the final acts, it's pretty much all about just revenge. And I will admit that this is definitely the weakest part of the film. The first two acts are way better. I feel like it kind of drags a little bit, and it actually follows, for some reason, the main villain.
Come on, you slob! You're slowing me down!
But still, there's some pretty good fight scenes. You know, there's some nice gun fu. There's real explosions and stuff. You know, some guard towers get blown up. And there's one scene where the bad guys are just attempting to flee in a speedboat towards the end of the movie. And we see that there's just a swastika emblazed on it for no reason. I guess just to say that, you know, these guys weren't bad enough. Now they're Nazis, so they're super bad. And then it pretty much just ends. I will say I wasn't fully satisfied with the revenge at the end. But still, you know, there were some cool surprises in this film. It might be one I revisit, you know, just because it has that fun nature to it. And just because I love the training segments. So there's really not much else to say about a movie like this. It's exactly what you think it is. It's an over-the-top 80s action movie with corny dialogue and some decent fight scenes. The concept itself of just having him lose an arm is pretty interesting. And it's impressive how he's able to just, like, pull off these stunts with his arm behind his back. Like, that's really impressive for the main actor. So I'll give him that. But again, it's pretty much what we expect from a film like this. And, you know, sometimes you're just in the mood for some good old action cheese. Anyway, I want to thank you, the Nerdy Ronin. This was a good recommendation, and I had a lot of fun. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Bushido. It's always great to have you here and fun to listen to you talk about movies. You are definitely fantastic. If you're not following Bushido Blues, there's a link in the description down below to his channel, and you should be following him. He's fantastic. He does mainly samurai stuff and the occasional different things now and then, but great guy. And he has a great take on just about everything you want to know about samurais, especially. So go check him out if you're not following him already, which most of you, I'm assuming, are. Great to talk to Bushido about this movie, and I think we ought to do this like once a month where we go to the video store together, man. It's fun times. Fun times. I might let you pick the movie next time and let's talk about something, so be on the lookout, sir. There you have it, you guys. That's our daily dose of awesome here at the Nerdy Ronin Network. All right, so I'm gonna get out of here. I know it's been a longer one. Thanks for sticking with it. If you have already, if you haven't, that's okay too. We love you. Like and subscribe. Check out the links. You guys have a great rest of your week. So for Michael, the microphone, Bob, squeaky chair in the back, and this big fat silly nerd. We'll see you on Friday.
Thank you.